All right, so we're diving deep today.
Deep diving.
Into Learning English with Mr. Concord, Episode 6. How to learn basic English.
Okay.
So you want to learn English?
Yep.
This is going to be your roadmap to getting started.
That's right. And I think, we can give some really, really helpful takeaways.
For sure.
Learning a new language can feel really, really daunting.
Absolutely.
But with a little guidance and the right approach.
Yeah.
It's absolutely achievable.
Totally. And the first thing this episode stresses is where are you starting?
Yeah.
Are you a complete beginner?
Yeah.
Do you have a little bit of background? Yes. Where are you at?
It's interesting because I think a lot of people kind of skip over this step. Mm-hmm. And it can actually make things a lot harder down the road.
Okay.
Think about it if you're trying to follow a recipe, but you don't even know how to use the oven.
Okay.
It's going to be tough to bake a cake. Right.
Right.
Same with language learning.
Right. So no skipping that self-assessment.
Yeah.
We need to be honest with ourselves about,
Totally.
Okay, I know this. I don't know this.
Yeah.
And then once we've got that, we can start setting some goals.
Exactly. And that's where this episode gets really, really cool.
Okay.
It talks about this idea of defining your why.
Uh-huh.
And that is huge.
Okay.
Are you learning English for travel?
Right.
Are you learning English for work?
To connect with new people.
But connect with new people.
Yeah.
You know that why is going to be your anchor.
Okay.
It's going to be your motivation.
Okay.
Especially when you hit those inevitable bumps in the road.
So true. It's like that North Star, right?
Exactly.
Guiding you.
Yeah.
But this episode doesn't stop at, I want to learn English.
Right.
It also says,
Yep.
Let's get some concrete, measurable goals.
We need to get specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just, I want to be fluent.
Right.
Think about, I want to be able to order food in a restaurant confidently. I want to be able to understand the main points of an English language news article.
I love that.
Yeah.
So much less intimidating.
Exactly.
Than this giant abstract goal of fluency.
100%.
Now, once we have our starting point and our goals figured out, the episode goes into the building blocks, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
Those are the foundations.
Yeah.
Those are the essential elements that you can build upon.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to grammar, the episode emphasizes we don't need to get bogged down in all the complex rules right away.
Right.
We need to start with the basics.
Okay.
Those common structures, intensive.
Subject, verb, object.
Yeah.
Present, past, future.
Exactly.
These are things that...
The tools.
Yeah, the tools we use.
That we use most often.
Most often.
Yeah, it's like building a house. You wouldn't start with the fancy trim and decoration.
Okay.
You lay the foundation first.
I love that analogy. Yeah. Okay, so what about vocabulary?
Vocabulary.
This episode gives a really, really practical tip about starting with everyday words.
Absolutely. Think about the situations that you encounter regularly.
Right.
Ordering food.
Yeah.
Asking for directions. Introducing yourself.
Right.
If you can master the key phrases for these everyday situations, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can start communicating effectively.
It's about prioritizing the vocabulary that's relevant.
Exactly.
Okay, and then there's pronunciation.
Pronunciation. That can be a bit of a challenge.
It can be.
But the key is consistent practice. You can use tools like YouTube channels dedicated to pronunciation.
Okay.
Language learning apps that give you audio feedback.
Cool.
Even try shadowing native speakers to improve your accent.
That's great. So training our ears and our tongues to work together.
Exactly.
And not being afraid to make mistakes.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, speaking of practice, this episode emphasizes
immersing ourselves in the language.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about how we all learn our native languages.
Yeah.
We're constantly surrounded by it.
Yeah.
Hearing it spoken, seeing it written.
Yeah.
Using it to communicate.
Right.
We need to create a similar environment for ourselves.
Okay, so we're talking.
When we're learning English.
Listening to podcasts.
Audiobooks. Watching movies.
Watching movies, YouTube videos.
Simple English language videos on YouTube.
Right.
The key is to surround yourself with the sounds of the language as much as possible.
Surround yourself, got it.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to listen to the same things over and over again.
Okay.
Repetition is a powerful tool for learning.
Makes sense.
As you become more familiar with the sounds and the rhythms of English, you'll start to pick up on more and more details.
All right, so we've got our foundations with grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation.
Yes.
We're immersing ourselves.
Yes.
But what about speaking? How do we actually start using it? Well, the episode really highlights the importance of actually practicing speaking.
Okay.
As much as possible.
Got it.
This could be with a language partner. In a conversation group. Or even using language exchange apps.
Like what?
Like HelloTalk or Tandem.
Oh, okay. Those sound interesting.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I like that.
It's like having a built-in conversation partner.
Yeah. And it probably takes some of the pressure off, too.
Exactly.
Knowing that the other person is also...
Creates a very supportive, encouraging environment for practicing your skills.
I love that.
And the great thing is that you can find language partners from all over the world.
That's awesome.
So you can also learn about different cultures and perspectives.
It's a much richer experience.
Absolutely.
Now, we've covered listening and speaking, but we can't forget about reading and writing.
Yeah.
The episode recommends starting with simple texts, like children's books or beginner-level articles.
It's fascinating how much we can absorb passively through reading. It exposes us to different writing styles, vocabulary and context, sentence structures, and it doesn't have to be a chore.
Right.
Choose topics that interest you.
Totally.
Whether it's sports, travel, even celebrity gossip.
Yeah.
Keep it light and fun.
And the episode also talks about the power of journaling.
Journaling, that's great.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right.
But just writing down simple sentences can help solidify that.
Solidify the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like a low-pressure way to practice putting your thoughts into words.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's also a great way to track your progress and see how far you've come.
Love it.
Now, before we move on, I'd love to hear what's resonating with you so far.
Okay.
What's standing out as a particularly helpful or interesting?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
I think what's standing out to me is this idea of we often think of language learning as this very serious,
academic,
textbook-heavy
thing. And this episode is really emphasizing, no, let's make it fun.
Make it fun.
Let's make it a part of our lives.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
What about you? What's resonating with you?
Well, what's really hitting home for me is this idea of setting those clear goals. Because I think so often we approach language learning with this vague notion of, I want to be fluent.
Right.
But we don't really define what that means.
Yeah.
Or how we're going to get there.
It's too big.
Yeah, and it can feel overwhelming.
Right.
So by breaking it down into those smaller, more concrete steps, it suddenly becomes much more manageable and achievable.
Right. Those little wins.
Exactly.
Keep you going.
Keep you motivated and prevent that feeling of being overwhelmed.
I love that. And, it kind of ties into that whole self-assessment piece too.
Yeah. Because if we don't know where we're starting from, it's hard to set those realistic goals.
It is. And I think it's also really important to be honest with ourselves about our motivations. Why are we learning this language?
Yeah.
What do we want to be able to do with it?
Yeah.
Because that's going to inform our goals and our approach.
Okay. I love that.
So it all ties together.
I'm really excited to hear what else this episode has to offer.
Me too. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great to hear that you're finding these insights helpful.
Yeah.
One thing that really resonated with me from this episode is the emphasis on utilizing technology.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we live in a digital age.
Right.
And there are so many incredible resources available at our fingertips.
Oh, absolutely. The episode mentioned some popular apps like Duolingo, Babbel.
Yeah.
Memrise. These are great for daily practice, bite-sized lessons.
Absolutely. And they're surprisingly addictive.
I've tried a few of them. They are.
They can be. They can be.
Yeah. It's like turning language learning into a game.
It is. It is. It's like gamifying the process.
And the best part is you can learn at your own pace on your own schedule.
Exactly. There's no need to sign up for a class or commute to a language school.
It's like having a personalized language tutor right there in your pocket.
Right there in your pocket.
And on top of that, the episode talks about online platforms like Tandem and HelloTalk, which we mentioned earlier, for connecting with language partners.
It's amazing to think you can connect with native speakers from all over the world.
It really opens up a whole new dimension.
It does.
To language learning.
Absolutely.
You're not just learning the language.
Yeah.
You're learning about different culture.
Different perspectives.
It's a much richer experience.
It really is.
And then there's just the wealth of English learning content.
Oh my God.
Available on YouTube.
Yes.
Podcasts.
dedicated websites.
It's almost overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming.
And in a good way.
In a good way, you have so many choices.
Right.
But you know, with all these amazing resources, it's easy to get sidetracked.
Right.
Or overwhelmed. And that's why the episode brings up the importance of time commitment and consistency.
That's key.
Which I think is key.
Yeah.
It's not just about having the right tools.
Right.
It's about using them effectively.
Yeah. This episode actually gives a really realistic time frame saying, okay, you can probably start having basic conversations in 3 to 6 months with daily practice.
Yeah.
But it also emphasizes that fluency takes time.
Yes.
About 1 to 2 years.
It's a journey.
Consistent effort.
It is. It's like training for a marathon.
Yes.
You need to put in the time and the effort to build up your endurance.
That's such a good analogy.
And reach your goals.
We can't expect to become fluent overnight.
No, it's a process.
It's a process, but the episode does reassure us that consistency is key.
Consistency is key.
Even short, regular practice sessions are more effective than cramming everything in once a week.
Even 15, 20 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
It's about establishing a routine.
Exactly.
Sticking with it.
It's about building that habit.
And that brings us to another really crucial point from this episode.
Yeah.
Staying motivated.
Staying motivated because, let's face it.
Right.
There will be times when we feel discouraged.
It's natural.
Like, we're not making progress.
Yeah, it's natural to feel that way sometimes.
It's part of the process.
Learning a new language can be challenging.
It can be.
It's easy to get bogged down.
You get lost in the details.
But the episode offers some really helpful tips.
Yeah.
For staying motivated, like celebrating those small milestones.
Yes. Acknowledge those small wins.
Yeah.
You know, they make a huge difference.
Right.
Did you learn a new phrase today?
Yeah.
Were you able to understand a bit more of that podcast?
Right.
Those are all reasons to celebrate.
Give yourself a little reward.
Exactly. It's like giving yourself little rewards along the way.
Yeah.
To keep you going.
And the episode also warns against comparing ourselves to others.
Oh, that's a big one.
It's so easy to get caught up in that trap.
Especially in the age of social media.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know, everyone learns at their own pace.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses.
Their own journey.
Comparing ourselves to others is only going to lead to frustration and discouragement.
Absolutely.
It's much more helpful to focus on our own progress.
Yes.
And celebrate our individual achievements.
I love that. Progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection. Exactly.
And this episode also reminds us to make learning fun.
Make it fun. If we're enjoying the process, we're far more likely to stick with it.
Right. It becomes a joy rather than a chore.
Exactly. You know, that's something I found to be absolutely true.
Okay.
In my own language learning experience.
Yeah.
When I'm genuinely interested in the material. When I'm having fun with it. It doesn't feel like work at all.
So finding ways to incorporate English into our hobbies, our interests.
Absolutely.
Can make a huge difference.
Exactly. You love music.
Yeah.
Listen to English songs. Try to sing along.
Are you a movie buff?
Watch English films and TV shows.
Maybe with subtitles at first.
Maybe with subtitles at first, exactly.
The possibilities are endless.
Endless. You're only limited by your imagination.
Now, this episode also acknowledges that learning a new language comes with its share of challenges.
It does.
It highlights some common mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
That learners make.
What are some of those?
Okay, so focusing too much on grammar.
Okay.
Being afraid to make mistakes.
Right.
And not practicing regularly.
Yeah, it's helpful to be aware of these potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
So we can avoid them.
Absolutely.
You know, when it comes to grammar.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the rules.
Right.
And forget that the ultimate goal is communication.
It's about being able to express ourselves.
Yes.
Connect with others.
Exactly.
It's not about achieving grammatical perfection.
It's like learning to dance.
Okay.
You don't start by memorizing every single step.
Right.
You start by moving your body and feeling the rhythm.
Love that analogy.
The finesse comes later.
It perfectly captures the essence of language learning.
We need to be willing to make mistakes.
Yeah.
To stumble and get back up again. That's how we learn and grow.
And this episode reminds us that native English speakers make grammar mistakes all the time.
All the time. It's part of natural language.
So we shouldn't be afraid to speak.
Exactly.
Even if our sentences aren't perfectly constructed.
The more we practice, the more fluent and confident we'll become.
Practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice. And that brings us back to the importance of consistency.
Right.
You know, even short, regular practice sessions are more effective than cramming everything in once a week.
Think of it like exercising a muscle. If you only work out once a week, you're not going to see much progress.
You got to be consistent.
But if you do a little bit every day, those small efforts will compound over time.
It's all about finding a rhythm that works for you. Yeah. And making it a part of your daily routine.
And remember, the beauty of language learning is that you can integrate it.
Absolutely.
Into your daily life in so many ways.
In so many ways. You know, listen to English podcasts while you're commuting.
Oh, that's a good one.
Watch a movie in English with subtitles.
Yeah.
Even just change the language settings on your phone to English.
I love that.
It's about finding those little opportunities to immerse yourself in the language and make it a natural part of your day.
And that's where things start to get really exciting.
That's when the magic happens.
When you reach that point where English is no longer something you're studying, but something you're simply using and experiencing.
Exactly. It becomes a part of who you are.
Yep. Now, this episode also mentions some specific challenges that learners might encounter.
Like what?
Okay, like pronunciation difficulties, vocabulary overload, and feelings of discouragement.
It's important to address those.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about pronunciation first.
Okay.
You know, English has some sounds that don't exist in other languages.
Right.
And it can be tricky to master them.
For sure.
But remember, even native speakers have regional accents.
Right.
And variations in pronunciation.
So don't get too hung up on sounding exactly like a BBC newsreader.
Exactly. Focus on clear, understandable pronunciation.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for feedback from native speakers.
Right.
Or use pronunciation guides and resources to help you.
I like it.
Fine-tune your accent.
Okay. And then vocabulary overload?
Vocabulary overload, it can feel really overwhelming.
It can.
To try to learn thousands of new words.
Right.
But remember, you don't need to know every single word in the dictionary to communicate effectively.
No, not at all.
It's about prioritizing.
Okay.
The vocabulary that's most relevant to your goals.
So if you're learning English for travel, focus on those travel words.
Transportation, accommodation, sightseeing.
If you're learning for business, focus on business.
Your industry, professional interactions.
And remember, learning vocabulary isn't just about memorizing lists of words.
No, it's about understanding how words are used in context. Their nuances, their connotations.
So read extensively.
Pay attention. To how words are used in different situations.
Reincorporate them.
Yes, use them in your own speaking and writing.
Okay.
And finally, let's talk about discouragement.
That feeling.
Because it's real.
It is.
Learning a new language can be challenging.
It can be.
And there'll be times when you feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Like you're not making progress.
Absolutely.
And it's perfectly normal to feel that way.
It's part of the process.
Every language learner goes through these ups and downs.
The key is to not give up.
Don't give up. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep reminding yourself of your goals and celebrate even the smallest victories.
And remember why you started.
Exactly. The fact that you're even attempting to learn a new language is an accomplishment in itself.
That's huge.
It shows that you're curious, open-minded, and willing to step outside your comfort zone.
That's awesome.
Those are qualities to be proud of.
So how do we keep those feelings of discouragement at bay?
Well, one of the most effective strategies is to break down your larger goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Like, instead of becoming fluent, learn 5 new words.
5 new words a day. Have a short conversation in English.
Okay.
Those smaller goals seem much more attainable.
Yeah.
And each time we achieve one, it gives us a boost of motivation and confidence.
Right. Those little wins.
Exactly. It's like climbing a mountain.
Okay.
If you just focus on the summit, it can feel daunting and overwhelming.
Yeah.
But if you focus on reaching the next base camp, it feels much more manageable.
It's about taking those small steps.
Exactly.
And celebrating those wins.
And remember, language learning is a journey, not a race.
Right.
We're all on our own unique path.
Totally.
There's no need to compare ourselves to others.
Celebrate your own progress.
Celebrate your own progress, no matter how big or small.
And don't be afraid to ask for help or support.
Absolutely. You know, there are so many resources available.
There are.
From language exchange partners to online forums.
Yeah.
Communities. You don't have to go through this journey alone.
We're all in this together.
We are.
Now, the episode also provides a really helpful overview of some of the best resources available.
Okay, let's dive into that.
We've touched on a few of these already, but I'd love to dive a little deeper.
Let's do it. Let's start with books.
Okay, books.
For grammar, English Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy is a classic textbook.
It's clear, concise, easy to follow.
Okay.
I've used it myself.
Okay.
I highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Especially for beginners.
And for vocabulary building.
Yes.
Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis.
Another fantastic resource.
I love this book. It focuses on etymology and word roots.
It's like learning a secret code to unlock the English language.
Yes, it can help you unlock the meaning of new words and expand your vocabulary.
Exponentially.
It's amazing.
It is. It's a game changer.
And then there's the world of language learning apps.
Oh, yeah. Those have exploded in popularity.
Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise.
So many options available.
They're great for that daily practice.
Bite-sized lessons, interactive exercises, games to keep you engaged.
Yeah, it's like having a personal language tutor in your pocket.
Right there in your pocket.
And many of them offer personalized feedback.
Yes, they can help you identify your strengths and weaknesses.
Oh, that.
And let's not forget about the wealth of free resources online.
Websites like BBC Learning English.
Okay.
English Class 101.
These offer lessons, activities, resources for all levels.
All levels. They're a great supplement to your learning and a great way to explore different aspects of the language.
And YouTube.
YouTube is a goldmine.
It's amazing, right?
It is. Channels like English with Lucy, BBC Learning English, Rachel's English.
So good.
Fantastic videos.
Covering grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation.
Cultural insights. You can find videos on just about any topic you can imagine.
I know. It's incredible how much free, high-quality content is available.
It really is.
And the beauty of it is you can learn at your own pace.
Your own schedule.
In a way that suits your learning style.
Exactly.
So with all these incredible resources at our fingertips, there's no excuse not to get started.
I completely agree.
On our English learning journey.
Get out there and start learning.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to the episode's advice on dealing with those specific challenges.
Yeah.
We've talked about pronunciation, vocabulary overload.
Yes.
But let's talk about those feelings of discouragement.
That can creep in from time to time.
That can creep in. It's so easy to get bogged down.
It is.
I feel like we're not making progress.
So what are some effective ways to combat those feelings of discouragement?
Yeah, what can we do?
One of the most helpful things we can do is to reframe our perspective on mistakes.
Okay.
Instead of seeing them as failures, we can view them as valuable learning opportunities.
I like that.
Every time we make a mistake,
we're
actually getting closer to mastering the language.
That's a really empowering way to think about it.
It is.
It takes the pressure off.
It does.
And allows us to kind of embrace the process more fully.
Embrace the journey, the ups and downs.
Yeah.
The plateaus, the breakthroughs.
Well, remember that language learning is a journey, not a destination.
It is not a race.
We're all on our own path.
Our own unique path, absolutely.
So be patient with yourself, keep practicing.
Keep practicing.
Celebrate every step you take.
And remind yourself why you started this journey in the first place.
What's your why?
Exactly, that why. Whether it's to travel the world, connect with new people,
advance your career,
that's what will keep you motivated and inspired.
Even when the going gets tough.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to connect to that bigger picture.
Yeah.
What's one small step you can take today?
Okay.
To continue on your journey.
Yeah, that's a great question to reflect on.
It is.
What small step can we take today to keep moving forward?
Absolutely.
Maybe it's revisiting one of those amazing resources we discussed.
Yeah.
Cracking open a grammar book, downloading a language learning app.
Yeah.
Maybe watching a quick video on YouTube.
Exactly. Even the smallest actions can make a difference over time.
Totally.
You know, it's all about building that momentum.
Yeah.
And making English a regular part of our lives.
And one of the most powerful things we can do, the episode says,
is to shift our mindset.
Okay.
From studying English to using English.
That's an interesting distinction.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when we think of studying, it often conjures up these images of textbooks, grammar rules, tests.
Right.
It can feel like a chore, something we have to force ourselves to do.
Yeah.
But when we shift our focus to using English, it becomes more about communication, connection, experiencing the world in a new way.
I see what you mean. It's about finding opportunities to integrate English into our lives.
Exactly.
Rather than treating it as this separate subject.
Yes, it's like the difference between reading about a new city in a guidebook and actually walking its streets, tasting its food, interacting with its people.
Wow, that's such a good way to put it.
It's a much richer and more immersive experience.
It is. So how can we make that shift?
Well, one of the simplest things we can do is to start incorporating more English into our daily routines.
Like,
change the language settings on your phone and computer.
Okay.
Listen to English language podcasts while commuting or working out.
Great ideas.
Watch English language movies and TV shows, maybe with subtitles at first.
These are all great, and it doesn't have to be a big commitment.
No, even just a few minutes each day can make a difference.
The key is to find ways to make it enjoyable and sustainable.
Absolutely. If you love music, listen to English songs and try to sing along.
If you enjoy cooking, follow recipes in English.
If you're active on social media, follow English language accounts and engage in conversations.
It's all about finding those little opportunities, right?
Exactly, to immerse yourself in the language and make it a natural part of your life.
And the more we use English,
yeah,
the more comfortable and confident we'll become.
Absolutely. It's like learning to ride a bike.
Okay.
At first it feels awkward and wobbly, but with practice, it becomes second nature.
And eventually we don't even have to think about it. We just do it.
Exactly.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
I love that learning a new language is a lifelong journey.
It is.
There's always something new to discover.
Absolutely.
New words to learn, new ways to express ourselves.
It's a constant evolution.
So let's embrace the challenge, celebrate our progress, and never stop exploring the world of English.
Well said. And to echo Mr. Concord's advice.
Yes.
Remember to set those clear and realistic goals.
Yes.
Find a learning approach that works for you. And most importantly, have fun along the way.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into learning English.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Yes.
And feel inspired to continue your language learning journey.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy learning.
Happy learning, everyone.